Hello, Acolytes! Welcome to the Cleric Corner. My name is Riker, and here we talk about all things Dungeons & Dragons, tapping into our higher powers to create worlds more unique and stories more impactful. Man, it has been a while since we have had a live stream. I'm sorry. I have wanted this to be... Oh, I'm dropping things already. I wanted this to be a weekly thing, and it seems like things just coming up. And I promise it's not forever. Some of you who's followed the channel for the last little bit know that I was in a big move across states this little bit. Also helping out my dad with a bunch of rental properties, switching job things and set up with the computers and a lot of content as well developing on the back end. So I appreciate your guys' patience with me, and I want to do this more often. And I'm thinking about doing this a little, maybe just at a different time. I'm playing with a different time. So if you guys have a different time in mind, I'll probably be in the next week or so try to figure out if there was a better time to do this. So that more people can be involved on these live streams and that doesn't come up on a weekend that seems to be when all of my other things happen. So there's that. But today, we are going to go over this baby. The D&D starter set, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Now, this was almost impossible to get. A lot of other YouTubers have talked about it. Being it only a Target exclusive means that they only had it. And they only gave each Target like 4 copies the first time around before they got another shipment. And so if you weren't the first 4 people there to grab one, you didn't get one. And then I think the next possible time that they were able to situate, because Target does this thing, you guys might not care about this, but I think it's interesting. Target does this thing where they do bulk orders, right? So if there's things that they need stocked, they do all of it at once. So literally the second shipment of this Stormwreck Isle stuff was intermixed with like 15 truckloads of other things, and so it took them another week and a half to get it unloaded and into the front area. Even though it says like on the website that they might have it, they don't. It's in the back. And so I just got it yesterday that it finally showed up on the shelf. And I'm thankful for having it and being able to read it, because it is actually a really cool adventure. And I've been wanting to play it with some cousins that I have up here who have wanted to try D&D out for the first time. And I am all about that. And I think this would be a good move. So who do we have in the chat? We have Trevor Noon. Blue Dragon is the best dragon, no lie. Yeah. I honestly, the Blue Dragon is my favorite dragon, so I do not disagree with you there. It's something about dragons that shoot lightning. It's just so good. And hold on. So, I always didn't like that their breath weapon is in a straight line instead of a cone. But then there are so many dragons with a cone, it's super unique. So, here we are. Congrats on the move. Thank you. I'm still working it out. I have a video coming out tomorrow that's kind of in one camera angle, and I don't know if I liked it, so I might change that up. So still trying to situate things. Roland, nice shirt. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Too bad you're missing Pokemon Go Community Day. Is it Community Day? I didn't know that. See, I'm out of the loop with a lot of Pokemon stuff. I love Pokemon, and I try to stay up to date as large as possible with Pokemon stuff. But I don't have a Pokemon channel. I don't do Pokemon things as far as content. So D&D stuff takes precedence. It does. Robert Moore, welcome to the chat. Hello, all thumbs up. Everyone remember to share and comment. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I am trying to get the live streams more popular, so we can get a lot more people input in, and I'm hoping to do a lot of creation stuff on these live streams, but I'm hoping to get a little bit more of a following with the live stream specifically in order to do that. So that's super exciting. So today, again, we're going over Dragons of the Stormwreck Isle here. If you have questions, put question in all caps in the chat so I can pick it out easy. But of course, if you really want a question answered and you want that to take precedence, obviously you can super chat. And I will obviously take a look at those the most. And yeah, So, but before we get into that, I will also give a big shout out to my Patreon members. Big Patreon changed his last little bit. Started a magazine as well for my Patreon members, and wanted to give a shout out to these guys because these amazing givers are what is making all of this possible. What is making me excited for new things in the future. And just want to give them a shout out. So, Cleric tier, we have Scott Burns, Acolytes, Kaleidoscope, and Weaver Atropos, and our disciples, Christian Roberts, Ryan Ramirez, Theodore Sraka, Christopher Byram, and Mal Cadil, if I said that right. McKettle? If you're here, let me know. But thank you guys so much. Again, your patronage, I guess is the right word, is always appreciated, and honestly, I'm just great. Every day I'm grateful for it and surprised that I'm at this level on my YouTube channel within a year of being started. It's amazing. So thank you for being here. Trevor, new on Crazy Stuff would be cool. Yeah, the one that I did a couple weeks ago where you guys helped me out with my my D&D session. Oh, what does that sound? Can you guys hear that? That's not good. I'm gonna... Okay, by D&D session, you guys helped me out with a lot of the session planning. And that was really popular, and I love that, and I get to actually put that into the game. And they're actually right in the middle of it. We did a whole big lobster of Blipdoopulp, like an entity of Blipdoopulp being driven down into the ground and watched over and trapped by a couple mages that put a bunch of pirate clans in armistice. And then the party is going to run into, or actually has now, a sorcerer of Blipdooploop or a lobster warlock, essentially. And we got to basically shape that and what that looked like as well. So it was super fun. So I would love to do more stuff like that. There was a long explanation of that comment, but thank you. I'm actually working on my Southern Gothic game. Ooh, that's cool. Very interested to see what Stormwreck is like. Well, we'll go into it. Spoiler alert. There will be spoilers, right? And I think a lot of people have covered the kind of the overarching little bit no spoiler stuff, but we might go into spoilers today. So just be warned. If you want to run it or if you want to be a part of it, then click off. Robert Moore, yeah, I get this. I get the set. Some targets are better than others of getting it shipped. Yep, I agree. We only have one in the town that I'm in now, so it was that or nothing. So okay. So starting out, giving you kind of the overarching like what's in the box. Here we have collector's dice. It's no different than the other starter set, but hey, it's a collector's item. So if you don't have it in the other one, here you go. You got that. You also get a little sheet that says "Welcome, Adventurers." Gives you a little survey to tell them what you thought about the adventure. It's maybe helpful to them. And then a list of how to or how to continue your adventures and what you need in the future after you're done with the Stormwreck Isle. It also sets you out to, or talks about, I don't see a link to it, but it does talk about how there are like how-to videos on YouTube. So maybe they'll just search it up and find, I don't know, the dungeon dudes or something. Because I don't have any like D&D guides. I kind of assume that a lot of other people do that really well, and so they do that good. It also has a starter set rulebook. It's basically just a condensed version of the player's handbook. It has all the stuff that you would expect to be in here. You have like talks about advantage, disadvantage, ability checks, skill checks, saving throws, social interactions, travel, environments, combat, resting, coins and equipment, spells. You get the picture. One thing that I do wish they did, but they didn't, and I see why. It's just, paper space. But these are the spells that your players will use, and it's in the same book of all the core rules, and it's not on their character sheet. And so they will have to, if you have a couple spellcasters, they'll have to share this, which is fine. They can do that, but it would be helpful to have just on the spell or on the actual paper. And I will tell you what they should have replaced it with. But I won't pretend to know things. I'm not a professional content or official D&D content creator, I guess you could say. I wasn't in the room when these conversations happened, so I don't know what was discussed. Claymore Steel, welcome. We haven't gotten into too many things yet. So I did want to go over this stuff here, though. So these are the sheets that you get in the Stormwreck Isle. And there are one thing that I actually do like. So what you will get is a High Elf Wizard. You will get a Lightfoot Halfling Rogue. You will get a Human Paladin, a Wood Elf Fighter, and a Hill Dwarf Cleric. So there are 5 to choose from. And a lot of the complaints that you'll find a lot of other YouTubers and news articles about is that there are basically all of the pictures in the adventure book is depictions of old characters in the D&D cartoon. One example here, if I can find a good one, we have. Oh, what was one that I really liked? This one right here. So you have the fighter and the acrobat here. Oh, it's not auto focusing. Anyways, so there's the two characters from the cartoon, and people are thinking like, oh my goodness, we're gonna have these D&D stat blocks or the characters that we can play of them. We could play them, and that would be such a cool flashback. No, that's not what they're doing, unfortunately. I think it would have been an easy fix, or an easy to do thing, and that would be really beneficial for the community. But I also see why they did this. And essentially, they just copied over the same things that you had in the other starter set and just spelled things out more. So instead of like your attacks saying 1d12, or sorry, 1d12, that's a good weapon. Instead of it doing like 1d6 plus 2, it really just spells out if you do hit it, the target takes 1d6 plus 2 piercing damage. And so it really spells it out for the players, which is nice. So they basically just took the old ones, rewrote them into a more intuitive way. It's a lot more wordy, but it's helpful and more intuitive if the players are reading it. That way they're not bombarding you with questions. For the first 20 minutes of play, they can look at it right there. So... But it does go over descriptions of saving throw skills and equipment right on there. Description of spell slots, ritual casting, everything. It has all of the abilities from level 1 to level 3. So it depicts your first level features, and then your second level features, and your third level features. And then a little picture of what your character might look like, which is nice. One thing that I really, really do like is that it gave them each a personal goal. So a connection to the adventure that would motivate them to be there. Like, why are you here? Why are you exploring the island? What are you trying to find, right? And so I'll actually read those out because I think it's really, really cool. But before I do that, I would need to read the adventure synopsis. So spoiler warning again, this is the synopsis of what is happening here in the Stormwreck Isle. And again, if you want more information about the character sheets themselves, let me know in the chat. So Claymore, well, it might not be beginner friendly class, but it's almost quintessential to the genre. The Paladin, yeah. I think it would have been nice to have a druid, right? I think a druid is probably more familiar than the Paladin. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I think the druid is a little bit more familiar to the paladin. Because I'm thinking like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. And maybe I'm just not thinking of a paladin-esque character, but I can think of a couple druid characters. So I don't know. Okay, here's a synopsis. You ready, guys? Here's the adventure background. Again, spoilers. According to legend, 2 families of dragons came into being at the very first days of the world's creation. Bahamut, the noble platinum dragon, made the metallic dragons gold, silver, bronze, brass, and copper. Cruel, 5-headed dragon Tiamat made the chromatic dragons red, blue, green, black, and white. The metallic and chromatic dragons share a mutual animosity that originates in the enmity between Bahamut and Tiamat. Means they're not friends, but they handle each other. The origin of Dragon's Rest, which is where this adventure is set, is rooted in that animosity. Ages ago, fire-breathing red dragon called Sharuth rampaged up and down the Sword Coast. 3 metallic dragons joined forces to battle Sharuth and imprison her beneath the ocean floor, believing seawater would quench her fire and keep her bound forever. But Sharuth's fury, legend says, caused the undersea volcanic activity that formed Stormwreck Isle. So it's a volcano, essentially. In all likelihood, Sharuth is long dead and entombed beneath the island, but chromatic dragons whisper that she still lives and will one day emerge from her prison. The fact is undeniable. The powerful magic embodied in such an ancient dragon has left a permanent mark on the Stormwreck Isle. That magic has drawn other dragons to the island throughout the centuries, making it a reoccurring battlefield in the conflict between the chromatic and the metallic dragons. It means lots of dead dragons here. Several of these dragons have died, each leaving behind a spiritual scar that causes unprecedented magical effects. 100 years ago, a blue dragon tried to harness this destructive magic from these dead dragons. A bronze dragon named Runara pleaded with him to abandon these schemes. When he refused, Runara killed him, adding another dragon to the island. Runara has grown weary of strife, and Stormwreck Isle's wounds are a constant reminder of the cost of such affliction, devoting herself to peace and reconciliation on the island. She established the Cloister of Dragon's Rest as a safe haven from violence. Living in human guise, Runara now serves as the leader of the tiny group of hermits and ascetics, but the ageless conflict between chromatic and metallic dragons threatens to disrupt the serenity of Dragon's Rest, and this is where the adventure begins. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, huh? So essentially you have a dragon island that is a graveyard of these dragons. And so honestly, it unfortunately doesn't go a lot in the adventure of like what might happen if you unearth some bones or go into an area where all of these bodies have been desecrated. And I think that would be really cool. And obviously you can bring that to your game. So do that. And oh yeah, I just saw this would be a great starting adventure for Fizban's like Treasury of Dragons. Yes, if you have Fizban's Treasury of Dragons and you have this book, definitely implement a lot of these factors in there. I think it's amazing. It's still adventure 1 to 3, so you won't be throwing full-grown dragons at your players at this point. But once they get through the adventure and they are level 3, level 4, and onwards, then absolutely, it's a fantastic move. Okay. So why these characters are on the island? Why these characters are on the island? If you are a wizard, okay? You have a sage background. So after graduating from your apprenticeship, you and your peers went separate ways to focus on your own studies. Recently, you received a letter from one of your colleagues pointing you towards the source of lost magic. Lost knowledge, not lost magic, but it could be the same thing. Lost knowledge. Shortly after the letter arrived, you learned tragic news. Your friend died under mysterious circumstances. Could be here, doesn't say, but it could be here on the island. Personal goal, so this is your goal, is to discover the lost knowledge. The letter spoke of an arcane observatory, which is at the end of the adventure. It's the final arc of the adventure, the observatory. And it's built on a nearby island by wizards long gone, and hinted at the powerful magic being hidden there. A small cloister known as Dragon's Rest, which we covered, also resides on the island. The caretaker of the cloister's temple is to the dragon god Bahamut, who is a patron of heroes and champion of justice, and must have information regarding the observatory. This elder Runara can set you on the path discovering the knowledge of the friend never found. So you could also be as a side mission trying to find the body of your friend. Again, when I looked through the adventure, I didn't see anything that pointed to that. I didn't see like where there would be like a reveal of that body, but you could put it basically anywhere, right? Okay. And I'd probably put it at the front of the adventure, at the beginning of the adventure, just because it might give them more motivation to find the thing that killed them and go exploring that way. Okay, Paladin. You have the noble background. So since swearing your oath to Bahamut, hey, you get a tie in there. You've returned to Neverwinter and have been championed to those who are overlooked by institutions that exist to protect them. Recently, your resolve has been shaken by corruption in the city guard and ruling aristocrats. So personal goal is rejuvenating pilgrimage. Seeking to reinvigorate your resolve, you learn of a remote cloister, the Dragon's Rest on Untitled Island. The cloister holds a temple to the dragon god Bahamut. You feel drawn to contemplate your place in the world there. So, interestingly enough, the Paladin, you are failing your resolve. Your oaths that you've made, you're kind of going back and forth with those things. And so you're like, I need a renewal of faith and renewal of oath. I need to go to this island to renew that. And I think that's kind of cool. I also, like, I talked about this in my Paladin video, about Paladins don't necessarily need to uphold their oath perfectly. It could just be something that you're working towards, and that alone could give you the power in order to achieve the thing that you're working towards. And a god can step in and help if not, if they want. If not, then that's fine. Okay, awesome. You guys are talking about my punk video, which I had so much fun with that punk video, guys. I searched for dream punk and never told me it was a fantasy genre, but EDM. Yeah, it is an EDM. It's a music genre, but you have to input fantasy dream punk. You have to search for fantasy dream punk, and then it should come up. But there aren't a lot of examples. You can type in examples as well, like Alice in Wonderland, Pan's Labyrinth, and those things. There is a specific website. Oh, shoot. What is it? There's a specific website. I think it's called TV Tropes. TV Tropes. If you go into TV Tropes and search Dream Punk, you should also find it there, too. Yes. Hey, the Vid Game Wiz. Hey, welcome to the chat. Thank you. Just pointed out my Pokemon shirt. Yeah, I love this shirt. It's just really soft, and I love Pokemon. So, I don't get a lot of chances to play it anymore, but I do. It's my childhood, so... Alright, here we have the fighter class. What is their... Why are they here? Why are they on this adventure? Okay? And I should mention that your players don't have to be these adventurers. These specifically are written out in a way for beginners that is really, really helpful. But it might be fun for your players to just try out something simple and have it all in here anyways, even if they've played for years. But you can also make your own characters, tie them in different ways as well. Heck, be like a Drake Warden, or we'll talk more about like flavors maybe later in the live stream. But Drake Warden Ranger, right? Play with some newborn dragons that are on the island that so many of these things migrate here. It's swarms of literal dragons, right, or pseudo dragons. A Wave Ascendant Dragon Monk. Again, a lot of people have talked about fizz bands. It's perfect. Draconic Sorcerer. You could be involved with a lot of the magic here, as again, it's very old and very potent here, so there could be a lot of people that are born with draconic abilities, right? Especially with the community here in Dragon's Rest. Anyways, I digress. The fighter. You spent a few years in Neverwinter as a carpenter, working at a city's bustling docks, but it's clear to you and everyone around you that you are destined for much more. You stood up to an abusive ship captain once, so your dock workers look up to you. Someday you'll come into your own and you'll be a hero. So you kind of have a hero's journey with this fighter. So personal goal is determining your destiny. So in a remote cloister of Dragon's Rest lives an old sage who is supposed to possess great wisdom, or possibly supernatural insight. The cloister holds a temple to the dragon god Bahamut, who is a patron of heroes and champions of justice. So maybe a good way to start your character on a fighter on maybe a religious journey as well. Maybe Elder Runara can help you determine exactly what your heroic destiny is and set you on the right path to fulfill it, so you can become the hero you are meant to be. That's pretty cool. So I like those last two because they are very explorative, meaning that they're very susceptible on quest lines that you give them. The wizard might come to the front of the adventure and say, okay, where's the observatory? I have to get to the observatory. Let's go to the observatory right away because that's where my hidden knowledge is. And you're like, oh shoot, that's like at the end of the adventure. So you can say like, oh okay, it's a sacred place. We won't let it just everyone there. You will need a key to get into it, and you'll need to get the key from somebody in the Dragon's Rest. And so maybe just keep that under your arm and say, like, hey, you need to go take care of a few things for us. Make sure you're trustworthy before you go to the sacred site, right? That kind of stuff. Okay, then we have the last one. We have Cleric, the Hill Dwarf Cleric. And this one's kind of cool. So you essentially have been having nightmares. Recently you've had dreams of shadow creeping across the sea like a shroud, swallowing an island in darkness. Though you dismissed the dreams at first, you began to hear a voice calling to you to stand against the death's endless hunger. Certain of your deity's wishes, you resigned your post and set out on your quest. You have the soldier background. So you resign your post, you're like, I need to figure out what this is. So your personal goal is to banish the shadow of death. Researching images from your dreams pointed you to Stormwreck Isle, not far from Neverwinter. A remote cloister there holds a temple to the dragon god, who's a patron of heroes and champion of justice. Someone in the cloister may hold the key to the impending doom your deity wishes for you to avert. And that's actually pretty cool, because that one is actually one of the first adventures. Wait, did I go over the rogue? I didn't go over the rogue. How did I mix that? Okay, well, here's the rogue, guys. Here's the rogue. The first adventure, there's two adventures before you get to the observatory, and they are interchangeable. So you can go do one, or you can go to the other first, and then it has tips and tricks in each of them to say, like, how, because you level up at the end of each of these. So if you level up at one, obviously you'll be to the second one. You'll go to the second one in an increased level. Sorry if that was confusing. But you go to the second one with increased level, and so it gives you tips to say, like, hey, if your players are coming to this adventure second, and they are second level, this is how you make it a little harder. Hey, we have Golden Smith in the chat. That's my dad. Love you, Dad. He says, love narrative leveling. Thank you. He helped me edit that, and it's one of my pride and joys of content. So that's on my website as well. Thanks for the shout out. He is one of my greatest supporters, and I'm thankful for him. Yeah. Rich Game Whiz. Rogue is so sneaky it got forgotten. Yeah. It rolled a sneak check and it got lost in all of these papers. That is hilarious. Oh, that's great. Okay. We got him though. We got him in the end. My passive perception came out in the end. Oh, guys, no, we found, okay, a little quick story, little into my life. I don't know if it's something that you guys even care about, but we went hiking the other day, and I love turtles. I love turtles, I love tortoises. I love elephants more, but tortoises come close. And we have just outside this window is just wilderness, right? It's just mountains. And so we get to just walk outside our door and go hiking. And we went on this hike, and we saw a turtle, and we're like, oh my gosh, it'd be so cool if we saw more. And I swear, like, we have gone outside here. My dad has gone out and hiked these trails multiple times, and we went with our two aunts, and their passive perception was so high that we saw like they pointed them out. We saw 3 turtles in one hike, and we've never seen them before. Anyways, I just thought of that. And I like turtles, and there's no message to this story. It's just a story. So, anyways. Do you guys like turtles? Do you guys like hiking? Let me know in the chat. For your rogue, fortunes in Neverwinter have been fair, but not the fast riches you were hoping for. You heard a story from a smuggler about a high-ranking member of the Gilded Gallows who turned a traitor, killed their partner, and fled with the sovereign's ransom and treasure. Thanks to details you've picked up here, and thanks to details you picked up here and there that corroborate the story, you're certain that it's more than just a rumor. So your personal goal is to find the lost fortune. However, whoever that gilder was who skipped out on the gold, they've covered their tracks well. The trail went cold in Neverwinter, but recently you've learned a remote island cloister called Dragon's Rest. The cloister holds a temple to the dragon god Bahamut, who is a patron of heroes and champions of justice. There is a community of hermits that live there now, the perfect place to hide for something, wishing to escape their past. If there's treasure there, you'll find it. And again, with my quick skim, I didn't find where the treasure might be hiding, probably in the observatory. But, I mean, there's a lot of dragons here, and there could be a lot of hordes. So, have some fun with that. Turtle power, yes. Turtle power. I also love turtlenecks. It's not cold enough to wear turtlenecks, but you will probably find me in turtlenecks as soon as it gets below 50, because I'm like that. Okay, so that's with that. There's also we could at level 3 we could talk about like how much time do we have? We don't have a lot of time. Okay, if we have time at the end, we'll talk about the what subclass you get with all of these, because it goes to level 3. Okay, with the Dragon's Rest, here we get to open it like storybook style. Remember at the library, guys, when you're growing up? Is it or is it just me? When you guys go to story time at the library and there's a person up there that like reads it like this and shows you all the pictures, and your guys are all in a circle of all the other like your classmates or people just coming to enjoy things at the library? No, just me. Okay. I feel like that's a shared memory for a lot of us. Okay. This is our library, the Cleric Corner Library. That would be a fun name for a live stream. You guys make me laugh. Christian Roberts, hello. Below 50, you wore one of those in the middle of summer in Vegas. I did. I like to be comfortable, so sweaters are my favorite, and Vegas, of course, is not a great place for that. And Christian Roberts, you gave me that. I think you gave me that sweater, and so I just wanted to support you and show you that I was grateful for your gift. It was a wonderful gift, and I still have it, and it's my favorite shirt now, so thank you. VidGameWiz knows. VidGameWiz knows the library. He knows. It also probably happened in your classrooms too, but I was homeschooled for most of my life, so that's not my first go-to. Okay. The Cleric Corner, Story Corner. Perfect. Okay, so at the beginning, right, you get the Stormwreck Isle, so the island there, and there's 4 different places all around the isle, and heck, you have to go far, right? You start here in Dragon's Rest, and you go all the way down to Seagrove Caves, and then you go up to Wreck of Compass Rose, depending on which one you go first, and then you go all the way over here to the Clifftop Observatory, where the adventure ends. But the great thing about Dragon's Rest, where you start, is that there is a bunch of different NPCs. You will also get to fight zombies right at the beginning, where essentially, which is good for your cleric, right? Your cleric gets a lot of undead in this adventure, so they get to feel like they're really participating. I think that, again, in another video, cleric should have more options than just undead for them to turn, but I digress. The drowned sailors, they're basically drowned sailors that come up to you, and if you don't defeat them or if you don't run into them at the beginning, they will come in later. And then depending on who you talk to in this Dragon's Rest, it actually gives like a period of like you can just talk to whoever. I don't necessarily enjoy that, but it does allow the players to get into roleplay at the beginning, and this time you'll kind of probably have to help cultivate that, because a lot of new players don't really know how to roleplay. So there are a lot of players that are a lot of characters that you get to talk with. There's a bunch of kobolds, and there are 2 characters, Tarak and Varnoth, which specifically have the 2 quests that you need to go on. Or when you talk to the leader, who is... Oh, what was her name again? Help me. Runara. Or you can talk to Runara and talk about the quests that you personally have had and see if she has different insight, and she'll point you those ways as well. There's a possibility of taking one of the NPCs on the adventure with you to go to the cave with the Myconids. Should I go over the monsters first? I'm already doing this. Okay, so with your Dragon's Rest, it's just a bunch of people like in different quarters. There's a main area, and there's the Temple to Bahamut, which you guys can be in there. But once you guys get the quest lines, once you guys the players get their quest, they're most likely going to leave pretty soon. But while they're adventuring on the island, they get to run into a bunch of random encounters. So there is one that I really like, and it's Hot Springs. The Hot Springs, if they go the boat way, if they go into the water and they try to sail around, they'll run into the Hot Springs, which have a bunch of Fume Drakes, which is actually a new monster, but it's basically a heightened fire snake. It's called a Fume Drake. And there they will find a breathable mushroom cap that will actually help out with the shipwreck adventure, or the shipwreck section of the adventure, because they get to breathe what it's called a wind fungus, a wind spore, and if they break it and they breathe it, then they basically don't need to breathe for 30 minutes at a time. Or sorry, 1 hour. I read this, I promise. 1 hour. But of course, if they go the land route, you could probably still have them find hot springs if you really want to give them that boon. But if they go topside, it tells you it talks about a owlbear combat and a kobold encounter. So, yeah. So the first adventure that in Chapter 2 talks about is a cave, Seagrow Caves, where you will find the myconids. Yes. You'll find the myconids. And basically what this will do, this is the picture I showed you. It's probably my favorite picture in the book. My favorite picture in the book. It's just beautiful. I like the colors. You'll also find another monster here that is new called... Where are you? Oh, alright. Well, look at the back. Spore Servant Octopus. Spore Servant Octopus. There's a lot of spores, a lot of mushrooms in this area. And you'll be able to talk to the mushrooms. The mushroom leader will have a sickness that you'll have to figure out as well. You will find a kind of a horde or a gathering of fire drakes here as well that is threatening the myconids. Once you finish up there, you'll get to... And I think that's a great place to put the dead body, too. Perhaps they are covered in fungal growths or something like that, and maybe they died with the same sickness that this myconid is dying from, for that one character. But after you get done there, then you go to the Cursed Shipwreck, and this is where you'll kind of find out where the undead are. And you'll find at the bottom, again, I have to say spoilers, because these are things that, this thing's probably mostly for DMs or people who just don't care about spoilers. But at the bottom of this ship, where you'll be going, you'll find an amulet that is basically turning these things into undead. And you'll also fight a bunch of harpies that are, and I guess their main purpose there is that they are guiding ships into this cove to crash them, adding more zombies and maybe in their case more things to feed on, but they will be turning into zombies because of this amulet that is down at the bottom. Again, Cleric all day. And then the spores that they get in the last adventure or on the way here, they could probably also get the spores in the last adventure as well. I didn't see it in there, but they could get the breathable wind spores in the myconid adventure, and then they'll have it when they come to this one. But that's what they will find there, and once you find this chest and figure out how to stop the undead, that's where the cleric's mission will end. Then they'll basically have a dream and from their god that says, hey, you did good, you figured out what this darkness is, and it is now good again. So, appreciate you. And then we have the Clifftop Observatory, which I won't go, again, too much into, because, again, I feel like this is the culmination of this adventure, and I want people to experience that for themselves. But it looks like there is a horde here, and this is where your rogue might get their treasure. And you'll also be interacting with a couple wormlings. And so with wormlings, they're challenge rating 3, and so by this time your players are level 3, they'll be able to fight it very well. It's an actual dragon that they can fight. Because, like, of course, when someone is expecting, like, oh, I'm going to play Dungeons and Dragons, they're thinking, oh, I'm probably going to interact with some dragons, right? Except any other dragon other than Wormling is going to be a fight and a half. And so this is their kind of way of having Wormlings actually be like a strong force, a threatening force. A Wormling is like the BBEG in this adventure. It's the boss. But essentially, going from the beginning of the synopsis that I read to you, with the dragon being underneath this volcano, essentially there's going to be a ritual, if I read it correctly, where this wormling is trying to free them, to free this dragon underneath, and it's like a ritual. And if I read that completely wrong, then you can add it into your game. I didn't have time to continue to go over all of this adventure at the end before I hopped on. But yeah, that's essentially it. You'll also find your wizard's journals for your wizard to have the culmination of his goal here as well. And so it honestly would be really, really cool to have whatever's in this journal, or maybe some items that you find in the horde, be a continuation of the adventure, right? Or leading them to another place. Maybe this knowledge of journals told the wizard that this knowledge is actually somewhere else, which leads you to the Sword Coast or Neverwinter or things like that to pick up more clues. The dream that you have with your cleric could say, like, this could be just part of the undead intrusion that is happening, and there's actually more than one of these amulets scattered across the coast, and he has to go and find that, right? It's just so cool. But the Paladin, the fighter, they're kind of like coming to their own. It's more of a self journey. So maybe including something that would help them on that path, right? And then that could be more narrative as well. But maybe introducing an NPC or someone that thanks them for what they've done, and who they see them as. They see them as a hero, or they see them as someone that they look up to, and they say, like, hey, you should go and meet these people down on the Sword Coast. I think that they would need to meet you, kind of thing. And have it kind of lead into more adventures that way. Those are just some top of my head ideas that you can implement if you wanted to continue that. So there is treasure, there is dragons, there is dungeons, all things that you need in a classic D&D adventure. So, magic items that are in this adventure. Here we have some, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, see the little boots. Oh, excuse me. So with the magic items you have, it's just scattered throughout the adventure. Your adventurers might not find them. They might find them all. Boots of Elven Kind, Elixir of Health, Potion of Healing, of course, Potion of Resistance, Spell Scrolls for your wizard, which is really, really cool. And that's it. Then it gives you a quick synopsis of how the creature stat blocks are used, or how they're used, and what each of these abilities mean, like burrow, fly, swim, saving throws, skills, vulnerabilities, immunities, that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's the dragon, the blue dragon wormling. A lot of these are just in the regular, like, Dungeon Master's Guide or Monster Manual. So blue dragon wormling. Then we have Runara, who is an adult bronze dragon. You will not be fighting her. If you fight her, your characters will be dead. This is challenge rating 13. Then we have the bronze dragon wormling. I just like these arts. I think this is new art for the wormlings. The blue one and then the bronze one. I love them. They're just they're really cute. They're really cute. Anyways, I digress. Then we have the fire snakes and then the fume drakes. So the fume drakes is the new one. And essentially it has the same thing as the fire snake. Oh, no, it doesn't. It has completely different ones. Okay. Fume snakes are mischievous creatures that arise from lingering magically energy of a dead dragon. They resemble small, legless dragons formed from clouds of greenish smoke. Interesting. They delight in causing pain and confusion in other creatures. I would have liked a picture of the fume drakes. I wonder why they did not include one. So they have a death burst. So when they die, they burst and do 1d8 poison damage. They are unusual in nature, so it doesn't require food, drink, or sleep. And then they have a bite attack as well as a scalding breath. So the fume drake exhales a 15-foot cone of scalding steam. Each creature in that area must make a DC 11 dexterity saving throw or take 1d8 fire damage on a failed save for half as much as a successful one. So again, they're not huge. They're not hard. They're actually lesser than a fire snake. So I might have misspoke earlier. They're challenge rating 1/4, while the fire snake is challenge rating 1. But they do have more options. And so, yeah, they're level 1, doesn't do a lot of damage. Then we also have ghouls, which would be in the undead part of the adventure. Harpies as well from the ship. Then we have kobolds that you'll find in the random encounters. And we have a winged kobold. I'm really disappointed that we don't have a winged kobold. Obviously, you can do that. I have a winged kobold in like a homebrew that I use for my players. But winged kobolds are fun, right? And it would be a fun addition or subrace to a kobold that you can actually play. Or just give a flight speed to a kobold how you want to. Here's a Myconid Sprout, Myconid Adult, Sinensa. Sinensa is the leader of the Myconids, which is also actually a new stat block. It has most of the stuff that a Myconid Adult has, but instead of pacifying spores, it has hallucination spores, which the Myconid ejects spores at one creature it can see within 5 feet. The target must succeed a DC 12 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. The poisoned target is incapacitated while it hallucinates. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect of itself on success. Also, really cool tie-in if you want to hallucinate your cleric in their dreams and make that more like potent. That might be a fun play as well. Obviously, we got to put the owlbear in there. Obviously, we got to have an owlbear. The only thing missing from this adventure of classic D&D would be the ooze or the gelatinous cube. There we go. Gelatinous cube and the beholder, but those are obviously higher level challenge ratings. Spore Servant Octopus, also really, really cool. Also a new stat block. We have Hold Breath, which is self-explanatory, and Water Breathing, and then it just has a tentacle attack. So nothing really like new, but it would be cool since it is a Spore Servant. It would be really nice to actually have maybe one of the Myconid abilities and just put it in the stat block. That the Octopus 2 can release spores on its body. I think would be really, really cool. So the Myconid Sprout and the Myconid... Let's see, which one would be good? Probably the Pacifying Spores, where it stuns them. I mean, it's a challenge rating 1, so especially if your players are level 2 at this point, just add the Pacifying, or the Pacifying Spores, and it might be a good challenge. But let me read what it says. The Spore Servants are dead creatures. Oh, it's undead. You could also give it like an Undead Fortitude. It's reanimated by magical spores of the Myconid leader. The final act of Myconid leader in Seagro Caves before lapsing into its current comatose state was creating a Spore Servant from a dead giant octopus to protect the caves while the leader could not. Unlike a living octopus, this guardian has only basic control over its tentacles. Rather than coiling around intruders to immobilize them, the Spore Servant simply bludgeons them. Or different how you put it. Also, 2 new stat blocks for the Tarok and Varnoth. Those are your NPCs that you find at the start of the adventure. One is basically a dumbed-down rogue with a dagger and cunning action. The other one is a dumbed-down fighter with like 3 short sword attacks. So, and then on the last page, and I don't know why those things don't have a cover. And it'd be nice to have a cover, but I can see why they don't. It's space. I don't know why. Violet Fungus and the Zombie. Also 2 that are in other books. So there you go. There's that. Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. I think I want to play it. I really, really do. I think it'd be really fun. And I personally love the 1 to 3 adventures. I know a lot of people talk about how the first level to 3rd level is often skipped over. Like, people like to start at 3rd level because that's when you get your subclass. It's when you start getting the real meat of your abilities. But I don't know. Something about the 1 to 3 levels I particularly enjoy running, and I like playing as well. It's just simple. You know the few things that you can do, and basically anything can be a threat. So you get to use a lot of things that you couldn't normally use in higher level play. So I just think it's a cool opportunity to do that, especially for new players. Never start players at 3rd level unless they're really good at picking things up, or if they've played other RPGs before, things like that. Okay, so the rogue I think is a thief. I think it's just, hold on, let me check, because they get fast hands and second story work. Yep. So fast hands and second story work with the second and third level features. So they are a thief. Their subclass is a thief. With the Paladin, we're gonna test my knowledge of these things. We're gonna test. Okay, here's with the Paladin. They get Lay on Hands, Channel Divinity. For their Channel Divinity, they get Sacred Weapon and Turn the Unholy. Sacred Weapon. I never play Paladins. Turn the Unholy. I'm gonna say Glory, but I know that's wrong. Let's see. See if you can get it in the chat before me. Yep, not Glory. Not Glory. Maybe Oath of... Oh, is it Redemption? No. What is it? Okay. It's, it's Sacred Weapon. There we go. Okay. It is Oath of Devotion. It is Oath of Devotion. That's cool. So don't lie or cheat. Let your word be your promise. Never fear to act, though caution is wise. Aid others, protect the weak, punish those who threaten them, show mercy to your foes, but temper it with wisdom. Treat others with fairness, and let your honorable deeds be an example to them. Do as much good as possible while causing the least amount of harm, and be responsible for your actions or consequences. Protect those entrusted to your care, and obey those who have the just authority over you. There you go. Yeah, Andrew Cox. Hey, Andrew Cox. Hey, buddy. It's good to see you. Well, welcome. But yeah, Devotion. You got it. Devotion. Okay. Here we go. We'll guess this one. We have Fighter, and they get Action Surge at level 2, obviously, but third level they get Improved Critical. Improved Critical, meaning that they get a critical hit on a 19 or 20. I think that's Champion, but let's double check. It is Champion. Boom. Okay, 2 out of 3 is not bad. 2 out of 3 is not bad. Okay, Claymore Steel. I'm playing a Warlock pretending to be a Paladin. Heck yeah. And keep getting corrected when I say Thieving Hands by accidentally saying lay on Hands. I'm kind of amazed nobody has noticed I'm not a Paladin. There you go. I think it's great. If you're doing... Okay, here's the thing. If you're being a Warlock and you're pretending to be a Paladin and no one has, like, caught on, like, that just shows you that you can do that. Like, that these tropes only are tropes by paper, and they don't translate well into, like, a reality setting where you're this and you're this. No, magic is fluid. People have it translates different way, and all the classes do is tell you how your magic interacts with the world. And your Paladin's magic interacts with the world kind of like Warlocks do. And I think that's great. Okay, Wizard. We have a high level. This one's going to be obvious. This one's going to be obvious. I don't even count this one. Second level, they get Evocation Savant. So Evocation Wizard. The golden time you spend to copy your evocations is spells. Copy into your spellbook is halved, and then sculpt spells where you can make sure that you don't damage your friends with your wide range spells. Then the last one, we have the Cleric. I had to double check to make sure we got the Rogue again. I forgot we did that first, but I'm like, did I miss it again? Okay, here we have the Hill Dwarf. Okay, we have Channel Divinity, Turn Undead, obviously, but also then Preserve Life. As an action, you present your holy symbol and choose one or more creatures within 30 feet of yourself to heal, and then distribute up to 10 hit points among them. This feature can restore a creature no more than half of its hit point maximum. And then third level, we also get a Preserve Life, which you can now distribute up to 15. So I think that's Life Cleric. I'm pretty sure that's Life Cleric. I'll double check. Yes. I know my clerics. I would be very disappointed if I got my clerics wrong. I would be very disappointed. But there you go. Big tip with this as well. If it is a starting a 1 to 3 adventure, it does give you abilities or tips to say like, hey, if things are going wrong, it gives you a couple of NPCs to like Deus Ex Machina to come in at the last second and save your party to keep them from dying, because that's no fun. And if you're implementing new people to Dungeons and Dragons, then you don't want them to die. At least in my opinion, like if people are starting out, I want them to enjoy the game as much as possible because I want them to continue to play, especially with me. And so don't let your characters die, and help them be really, really cool. If they want to do things outside of their class, help them figure out ways to do it. If they want to do things that they may not be necessarily good at, maybe just help them be good at it. Help them be good at it. And so anyways, I think 1, 2, 3 levels, you're focused less on running the adventure and more focused on helping the players have a good time. And I feel like maybe there should have been a little bit more of that. And I can double check. There might be a lot of that in the rule book. But if there isn't, just make sure that you have that kind of mindset going into these kind of things. So we have a couple minutes. It'd be fun to kind of reflavor some things and see what else you could kind of take from this adventure. And obviously you can take the Myconid bit and put it into... I saw somebody mention putting it into like a mushroom-based campaign. Totally do that. You can take the shipwreck and put it into I'm actually probably will do that. I'm running a shipwreck a pirate seafaring campaign right now. I can just take that and put it somewhere. Maybe put some higher level undead monsters and have the amulet somewhere in there as well. And then the observatory with the wormlings, you could also put actual full-grown dragons in and put the observatory somewhere in your world. And have that be a large wizard tower that was abandoned some 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever. And also you could kind of change the colors of the wormlings. So if you wanted to keep it just the way it was, I think the wormlings it gave you was bronze and blue. And again, like we started out, blue is my favorite, and blue is amazing, and I love lightning dragons. But you could also do like a black dragon, or a red dragon, or a white dragon, and have like these interplays, and have different elementals too. Because like if you chose to change the color of the original dragon that was imprisoned beneath this island that created this volcano, you could set it in the middle of the ice tundra. You could have a white dragon that was imprisoned beneath like rocks or the sea, and have like an ice or glacier pop up, and have this whole adventure on ice. Would be really, really cool. Put a green dragon in there, and the island would be like a swamp. Put a blue dragon down there, and it would be a very, very stormy location of the sea. Or it would be a island kind of maybe in the middle of a desert. Would also be really, really cool. Because, and then if you do that, obviously you can't use like the fire snakes or the fume drakes, because that's like fire elementals, and they would be coming from the fire dragon underneath the city, or underneath the island, but you could have different elementals instead, right? You just with mephits alone, you have ice mephit, smoke mephit, fire mephit. Is there an acid mephit? There's a lot of mephits. But just pick and choose elementals and implement that there. So just in case you're in like a swampy area, you can do that instead. So you can implement these things and kind of puzzle piece them together. I think is really, really fun. And if you wanted to keep the red one as well, you could just have it under an actual volcano. It doesn't need to be an island. It's just nice to have it on an island because it's kind of secluded. And the adventurers don't really want to go exploring off the island, which I think is why they did that. But you can also have a volcano somewhere in your world, and have that be where the dragon was imprisoned, and this Dragon's Rest place or town that you go visit is just at the base of this mountain. And it's, for some reason, still a place where a lot of dragons congregate. Because it's a source of power, and who knows, right? Also, this is a weird one. This is a weird one that I thought would be kind of a funner flavor. Is instead of dragons, you could have giants, and maybe have a fire giant that is in the prison beneath here. Maybe instead of the chromatic war versus the metallic, right? Chromatic and metallic dragons fighting each other. You could have dragons versus giants, right? And you find a couple different giants here on the island, and instead of the main person that you talk to in Dragon's Rest be a human in disguise, or a dragon in disguise as a human, it could be an Etin disguised as a human who has decided to patch things up here. And heck, it could even with an Etten, obviously it's arguable that they're like evil. It could be an evil campaign. You could start out 1 to level 3 and have an evil campaign where you side with the giants. Who knows, right? And then obviously you could have like some lesser giants or some hill giants that are trying to wreck things up and think that the fire giant should be released, where the Etten that you became friends with has reasons why they don't want to be challenged or don't want this thing released for other reasons. So it'd be kind of interesting as well. Yeah, system. Who are we talking about? Undead Warlock theme to be a drowned sailor would really be cool. I would love that. They also talked a witch doctor, a voodoo witch doctor. You could spore druids would be great. It would be an awesome tie-in there. Undead Warlock is fantastic. You have the Fathomless Warlock as well. Let's see, you have the Oath of Open Sea Paladin from Critical Role that you could tie in, super nice. Anything undead related, a Shadow Sorcerer could also be having these dreams that the Cleric has been having with Shadow, right? And they having to go investigate. Obviously, maybe not from an actual god, but from Shadows itself. Ooh, and then implement some fungal dragons. Ooh, that would be cool. So yeah, who said you had to keep in wizard lore? Just have fungal dragons and have that be here. You could make the whole island fungus and have the instead of just the part of the adventure from Myconids. Ooh, excuse me. You could have the undead over at the shipwreck not being created by the amulet, but being created by a infestation of a certain kind of spore, and you have to get rid of these spores to stop the infestation of undeads, which would be also really cool. And having a spore druid that's somewhere locked in under here, and have spore druids that are helping you navigate. Or sorry, spore dragons, which would also be really, really cool. That's awesome. Spore druid plus ascendant dragon monk, fungal dragon lord. Make it happen. Make it happen, guys. Oh, that'd be so cool. I got, I got my dad and a couple cousins who wanted to play it, and I think I'm going to play this adventure, just because I think it's a great way to implement a dragon adventure just at the beginning, right? Because people expect dragons, and when they play Dungeons and Dragons, go figure. I don't know. Go figure. Okay. I think that's it. I think I didn't see anyone kind of question or want to explore anything else. So if you haven't got it yourself, it's like, what is it? Oh, I forgot. I think it's like $20. I think it's $20 at the store. So you can go grab it for yourself. At Target for now. I think it's also going to show up in game stores maybe in a couple months, as well as on D&D Beyond, because the other starter set's on there. I assume that this one's going to be on there at some time. They're just waiting for people to like buy the physical copy before they actually put the copy on D&D Beyond. I mean, it's good marketing, I guess, but there you go. There you go. Claymore Steel, put it into your fungal campaign. Do it. There is a point in my adventure where there will be fungus stuff. So hey, this stuff is pick and choose. It's just providing inspiration for you guys, if anything. So I hope that at least just with this, if you're not going to run the adventure, if you're not going to buy the thing, that you just got some insight and maybe some cool ideas or implementations of running an adventure with kind of these elements. So I appreciate you guys all being here. Tomorrow, again, there will be a Scribes Wizard video that will be super fun. Tomorrow, it will, again, I'm playing with the camera positioning, so that might not be permanent, but enjoy it nonetheless. Anyways, in the meantime, go out there and spread the good word of D&D and make the world a better place, both on and off the tables. Thank you so much for joining, everybody, and hopefully I will see you sometime next week. Take care.